Welcome to Interaction Best Tips and Tools. My name is CLAUS LEHMANN, and for the past many years I've been working with business learning and people development, and among others I've been working with project management training. We have an Interaction trained and developed project managers globally, Chinese, American, European, and some of the tools that I'm going to share with you today are actually the tool I'm going to share with you today is a critical tool, and I'll give you some tips that will help you become a better project manager. Before I begin, let's have a look at some of the classical challenges you have as a project manager. So the first model I'm going to show you today is what we call the project triangle. I have seen different variations, but today I'm going to introduce our version of the project triangle, and that will be our starting point just to lay out the base foundation. If we look at the project triangle, it defines three key areas where you as a project manager will find challenges and difficulties. And today's tool is going to help you eliminate some of these challenges and make sure that your project will be more successful. There are three areas that you always need to focus on as a project manager. One, of course, being time. So you always have to be aware of your timeline of when to deliver your final project, but also your milestones. On the foundation here, there are two other areas that you need to keep carefully under observation and to handle really well as a project manager. One we will call resources. And resources in this project triangle covers areas as money, as budget. It covers areas as material, but it's also the human resources involved in the project. So money, material, human resources are all the resources you need to be successful in your project. And finally, the third area is what we call quality. When you are running a project, it's always your task to deliver the best possible outcome within these three areas. First of all, you usually will have a deadline that you need to keep, a delivery time. You have some limited resources, whether it's a limited budget, limited manpower, limited amount of material. You are usually limited on the resources. And finally, you are also limited by the quality, and here I mean the expectations, the quality standards of your customer, your ordering party. What do they expect? So the classical challenges here is to deliver the best possible outcome within these three areas. And that is key, because when we're talking about challenges, there will be many challenges, and today we're going to talk about the different risks that are involved in these areas. Actually, we're not talking about the risk, we'll talk about a tool that will help you be more successful as a project manager, handling these risks. So maybe you've guessed it, today's topic is risk management. So today we're going to give you a tool, we call it the three-step risk analysis, a tool that will help you consider risks, a tool that will help you facilitate a risk management session, and also to get better success in your project. The tool is what we call the three-step risk analysis, and it consists of three steps. Step number one is for you to identify the risks. Step number two is for you to assess the risks, and step number three is for you to manage the risks. So three steps, and there are different methods, tips, and tools that you can use to help you improve this area. First of all, when we are going to talk about how to identify risks, your primary tool here will be the three-step brainstorm. I'm not going to go in depth with the three-step brainstorm today, but see one of the other videos that we have developed specifically on three-step brainstorming, and there you will get the tools or the knowledge you need to be able to carry out a great identification of risks. The second step we're going to talk about is the risk assessment, how you can prioritize the different risks according to their impact and their probability. And that will help you identify where you need to put your effort and your time to either do some preventive actions or some corrective actions in regards to those risks. And thirdly, we're going to talk about what you need to do to actually go and plan, to manage your risks. We're going to talk about the importance of planning and acting on these risks. So step number one, you collect, or you put your team together. You will actually start identifying the risks, and many project managers believe they can do this on their own. But I think that's a classical mistake that many project managers do, is that they do not involve their team in risk management. So my best advice is, bring your team together. It's a great way to have them involved and to have them feel that they're contributing in the project and to feel a sense of ownership. So bring them together, do risk management sessions, risk analysis sessions with them, where they actually will come up with the ideas or actually their risks that they see from their point of view. And often you will be amazed of the things that they see that has been in your blind spot. So carry out a 3-step brainstorm, and what you will find is you will find a lot of different risks coming up. Now the big question is, are all these risks equally important or equally dangerous, or do they have the same impact, or do they have the same probability? And naturally the answer is no. So you need a tool to actually prioritize all these risks, and the tool that I'm going to show you is an assessment tool, and there are many ways to assess in project management and in risk assessment. This is a classical one, and the benefit of the one I'm going to show you now is it's easy to understand. And that means that if you as a project manager will use this tool together with your team, there will not be a lot of misunderstandings. It's something that's intuitive and that you can bring to the table quite easily. Let me show the assessment tool that we work with. When we are prioritizing our risks, obviously there are going to be many different risks that you have put up, and as a team, similar to what we did with the 3-step brainstorming that I showed in another video, you will have your team come up here and share their risks, put them into the tool, into the graph here. And let me just quickly explain the axes. Down here we have impact. Up here we have high impact. Let's make sure we put that on here. So we have high impact. And high impact, you can actually put scores in here. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as on the axes. It could be 1 to 10. It really doesn't matter. But you can score the impact on a certain scale. Going upwards, you can do the same thing. You can say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you have your probability scale going upwards. So again, there are many different ways. We really like, and we have found it very successful, to be using easy to comprehend words like impact. So this risk, how big is the impact? 1 to 5. It's really important. Or it's a 4. A 5 would be a risk that is actually something that will, if it happens, it will stop the project. A 4 could be it's likely to stop the project. And a 1 could be something very light that we can even continue even if this risk occurs. On the other side, we have probability. So we have to also regard the probability of this incident happening, or this risk actually occurring. And you could say a very high probability means we are almost certain that this will happen. And now, by identifying risks that are almost certain that they will happen and they might stop the project, those are what we call unacceptable risks. So the risks in the top hand corner are what we call unacceptable. That means it's unacceptable that you as a project manager or a project team will continue your project without finding a way to solve this problem. You can either lower the impact of the incident or you can lower the probability, but you need to put up a plan and actually take action on this plan. In the second level, you could say the next line would be risks that have a smaller, either a smaller impact or a smaller probability. The risks that are here, those are the ones where you actually want to already now come up with a plan B. So if this happens or if it develops, what are you going to do? So you could call them medium risks or areas where you need to have a preventive action ready, or a plan B for what happens if this occurs. And finally, you have the risks, the low risks that have a small impact and a small probability. And you could argue, why even waste time on those? But it's my experience that it's important to keep an eye out for these, at this time, unimportant or not dangerous risks, because risks can develop. I usually see risk management and the picture in this way. The picture I get is if you're flying an aircraft, a jet plane, and you have the radar in front of you. At this certain time, you see the radar and you see the different dots on your screen, and some of them are far away and you know they're not even close to you, so there's no danger of colliding or a collision in this sense. However, 1 hour later, something that was out of the scope or far away has now come close, and all of a sudden something that was not dangerous before can now be dangerous. So it's important that you keep even the low risks on observation, because risks can develop over time. So this is one way to actually prioritize your risks and then start categorizing them and making sure that everybody on the team are on the same page, everybody accepts or contributes to the risk assessment and prioritizing the risks. However, it doesn't stop here, because as you remember, this is only the second step. We have prioritized the risks. There is a third step, and this is the most critical one. Because really, until now, all our risks are just yellow post-it notes on a flip chart. Has anything really changed since we put it up here? Not a thing. This is a tool that will help us plan what to do, but until we actually do something, we have not done anything, and the risk is exactly the same as before we put the post-it note up here. So I have an important key message to all project managers, and that is identification and even prioritization of risks is completely worthless without action. So what you need to do is, and that's the final step, when you the final step is risk management. This is when you actually go and do something. So you need to take action, you need to plan your action, and here we have over time developed different templates. So we have what we call risk assessment sheets. It's documents where you can document your risks, you can analyze your risks, you can even put a responsible person, a deadline. So it's a way for you to actually catalog and handle and put it into something that's doable or on an action list. Because not until you take action have you solved the risks. Once again, these templates are available. Give us send us an email, give us a ring, and we'll be happy to share these templates with you. I would also like to make them available to you on our webpage with our material. But know this, you can always send us an email and we'll be happy to share the tools and the tips we have. That's it for today. Speaking of risk management, in one of the future videos, we're going to look into another area, and this is the area of stakeholder management. So stay tuned, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.